How is everyone doing today? And in this video, we are going to talk about one of the more broken units in Heaven Burns Red, which of course is on my main screen. Of course, I would love to have Yuki on there, but we don't have a 2D version for Yuki, and this is probably my favorite one at the current moment. So she's gonna stay as the main character or main menu screen until we end up getting my Yuki that I really want. But for today's video, we are going to talk about specifically the most broken character in the game by far, and that is going to be Inori, and especially because she did just get her buff that came very early on with the Angel Beads banner. And the buff that she did get was that her HP modifier is unconditional, no matter if you're charged or not. And then the main buff, the one that everyone cares about, is that when you are charged, gain increased crit damage and critical penetration. So if you don't know what critical penetration is, this is going to be a damage typing, I guess you could say, that ignores weaknesses and ignores resistances. Inori doesn't care what you are when it comes to the resistances you have and the weaknesses you have. You say you are no resistant, well, it doesn't matter because you're weak to me. You go into another one, which is going to be, let's say, the Gyrovault. I think this one's Crush. This is Dark and Crush weak with Light and Slash resistant. Inori doesn't care. You're weak to me. That's the main thing about Inori that makes her really strong. So I've seen a couple of people have some troubles with making a team for this specific Inori to be able to optimize her as much as humanly possible. So today I'm going to show you 3 different things. One, with a regular team you can take everywhere with Inori, because this one is a single target team, and the other is going to be an AoE center team. Now these teams realistically are going to be a little hard to run just because some of them do include some more premium units. Now realistically, there is only one unit that you really want, just because it makes the process a lot easier for Inori, and then there's a lot of substitutes that you can make, with one of the teams being the main Inori team, which I'm going to be running, which is going to be this one right here. This Inori has some pretty premium parts to the team realistically, but a lot of these can be shifted around. Aoi is not needed. You just need a regular sustain. Shiki is a regular S rank that is really good to have because she provides charge with her Sacred Cantata. This is going to allow you to be able to give charge, which is the buff that Inori needs for the critical penetration, so that she's able to get her move done. And this allows her to get crit rate and a damage boost, which is really nice. Inori does have her own move, which is going to be I think it's Kibo, which allows you to get charge up as well. It's a lot easier if you just allow someone like Shiki to be able to give it to you. That way you don't have to waste 6 SP for the already 18 that you need for her EX. So that's a monumental amount of SP that you need for an EX. Making it so that somebody else can give it to you is way better than having Inori do it herself. So Shiki is realistically a much needed character for this 100%. Aoi, not necessarily needed, nice to have. Mua is going to be providing Mind's Eye to Inori because they're going to be weakness anyway to Inori, which is really good for her. You don't necessarily need Mind's Eye. It's a little bit more of an expensive buff to have, because Mua is currently one of the few characters that can give it to the backline easily than most characters. But I think the only 2 characters that will be needed, or something very similar to them, will be something like Saika, with being able to give crit rate, crit damage. Same thing goes for other characters like probably Sierra when she gets her tower buff, or any other major debuffers. You could even throw in something like Isuzu, or use orb skills to help you out. As we know, that Isuzu here gives a defense and DP down debuff. We also have other regular debuffers like Mia, who is able to give defense down and fragile. There's a lot of really good stuff that comes with using the Inori, and there's a lot of flexibility within the team. Yingxia is of course a very exclusive and more needed part, in my honest opinion, just because she is the hit count buffer. If you don't have Yingxia, then that's fine too. Just put in another buffer, put in some type of debuffer, because Inori is going to work off of just null damage. So she really wants generic buffs and generic debuffs. She wants crit rate, crit damage, she wants the attack up, she wants hit count, and then she wants, you know, defense down, Mind's Eye, all that different type of stuff. She doesn't really need fields or anything like that because she doesn't have an element to her damage. So realistically, this is the team I'm going to bring. Like I said, you can switch out Aoi for another sustain. Mua doesn't have to be here. She's just here to give buffs. You can switch this Mua out specifically, or Aoi, I guess you could say, for a debuffer if you really want to. Saika's here for crit rate, crit damage. Shiki is here for the charge up, and then Yingxia is here for hit count. So we're gonna go ahead and bring her into a single target boss, and what better way to do that is by bringing them to a score challenge. Now the score challenge is going to be at 100 difficulty with all the modifiers active, and I'm not gonna lie to y'all, this is probably the easiest score challenge you'll ever see, especially with using something like Inori. Now I'm not going to have a giga hyper fast run, but it is going to be pretty quick. So what we're going to start with is giving Saika and Yun the SP gain, and then we're just going to leave it at that. This is so that they're able to give double buffs by the time they come back around. So we're going to take some damage. It really isn't going to be too much. Now we're going to throw in Aoi. Aoi does angel wings. Saika gives crit rate, crit damage, and then Yingxia gives the hit count buff to Inori. So now she has one set of buffs. We're on turn 2. Let's mind the turns while we're doing this, which is going to be really funny about it. We're on turn 2. And then after this, we're going to supply Inori with the charge that she needs so that she's actually able to do the crit pierce. So we throw Mua up. We throw Shiki up. Shiki is going to give charge to the whole team. Mua is going to be giving Delightful Dash for the Mind's Eye. And then we're just going to raise Aoi's defense just in case she takes some damage. She's not actually going to take damage right now because she still has Angel Wings active. But this is just what I do just to get in the habit of it. Because when you take on more than one enemy, that is when it's going to matter. Because she's going to run out of her Angel Wings. Now we can throw Yingxia back in, Saika back in, and Inori. We give hit count buff to Inori. We give the crit damage buff to Inori as well. And then we're going to use Inori's EX skill. And we're done. You don't believe me probably, but we're actually already finished with the score battle. Which is kind of insane. And we should net around 250 score. And with that being said, that's all the score battle rewards without the last two, which is a skill guide and a platinum trophy. So that is actually pretty insane that Inori is actually able to do something like this so easily. Now, Inori specifically isn't going to net you the highest scores in score battle, but you will pretty much hit the requirement for a lot of the rewards with her probably every score battle. And the fact that she did it to a single target boss, she's an AoE character. So with 250 score, you're getting everything but the skill guide and the platinum trophy. And you're also getting the modifier rewards as well, which is absolutely insane. You can get so much done with this character and you can blast through a lot. Now to go on to the next thing I want to show y'all is going to be on the orb bosses. My Inori isn't as stacked out sadly with all the right equipment and all the, you know, limit breaks that you would love to have on her. So I'm going to take on level 3 instead of level 4. And we're just going to use an orb pass so I can just show y'all really quickly. And then we're going to go into the AoE Inori team. Now this team is a little crazy because of all the things that you can throw at it. This one is going to use a lot of different moving parts when it comes to having the right earrings for certain characters, having the right gear on certain characters, and the right moves. Some of the more specific things when you're looking at Inori is on this team specifically, which is just meant for AoE teams, and this one's going to be a lot more premium, a lot more harder to get. So I do recommend something like the first team I showed y'all with Shiki, Yingxia, Saika, Mua, and Aoi. With these two sustains, you can swap one out for whatever sustain you possibly need, and a debuffer, Saika, or any other buffer for attack, crit rate, crit damage, Shiki, which is pretty easy to get for the charge, and then Yingxia if you do have her for the hit count. This AoE Inori team is going to be a little bit more specific. Inori herself just needs to have skillful means so that she's able to give herself enough SP so that she's able to use her EX skill. Yingxia, she's just Yingxia. She just has to give her hit count buff. Chiroru, the main thing about this character is that she hits AoE. And not only that, if you get her modified version of her EX skill, which you can get from Clock Tower, she is able to use this EX skill at half cost on her first time. So with that being said, she has a 10 hit count. If you're fighting multiple enemies, that's going to end up being 20 hits. And then if you give the hit count buff to this Chiroru from Yingxia, this is going to be even more so. So you're getting a lot more hits added, which is going to allow you to be able to grab a crap ton of OD, allowing you to get a really quick OD turn 1 or turn 2, I guess you could say. With that being said, one of the main things you need is going to be a maxed out in percentage earring for the overdrive gauge. This is going to allow you to be able to get as much as you need in terms of overdrive, so that another character that we're going to talk about very soon is able to finish it off. So you need a 15% earring here so that you're able to finish off the overdrive bar so that you can get a turn 1 overdrive. Shiki is here for what you know Shiki's here for, to be able to give you the charge up. And then Mari is going to be here for the driving force, which she's going to allow you to get that extra bit of overdrive gauge from her orb skill. And then lastly, we're going to be using Isuzu because she is going to allow us to get the defense down and also the DP defense down, which is really, really nice to have. I mean, this is a really good debuffer. Now, I did get this idea from a Twitter post, which I think is really cool that they were able to do something like this, and I'm gonna have the link in the description for the team, the tweet itself. Make sure to leave a like, do all that type of stuff, follow the page, everything like that. But this is gonna be how the AoE team is ran. Now, I just think this is so beautiful to see how crazy teams can get when you have all the moving parts and just have everything so specific to the point where you're able to just fly through certain enemies. And like I said, my Inori is not the craziest, so you could definitely, as you see in the tweet itself, which props to them 100%, they're able to get off a level 4 turn 2 clear, and we're gonna try to do a level 3 turn 2 clear as well. So charge, hit count buff on Chiroro. Chiroro does her modified EX skill because she did what's it called, get her cost half, so that allows her to do it on turn 1. And then the hit count buff is gonna allow you to get that massive amount of OD that you're seeing right here, which is insane, dude. Now, hopefully they don't hit Shiki again. Okay, thank God. Now, with that being said, we throw Inori, Mari, and Isuzu. With that being said, we throw on the debuff. We do overdrive gauge, and then we do skillful means for the SP. And when you do all of these things together, not only do they get debuffed, you have the overdrive gauge, which gives you a bar of overdrive, and you're giving Inori the SP. Now we throw Yingsha back in. Yingsha can give hit count. We have Mari giving attack, crit rate, crit damage, and mind's eye, which is 4 buffs. And then Inori is able to use her EX skill on turn 2. Turn 2. That is absolutely wild. And with the luck of everything, this one-shots both of these enemies, which I think also gives off a good amount of OD in case you were fighting something else. This gives half a bar. And that's a one-shot on turn 2 level 3 orb. Holy crap, is that so cool. So realistically, when you're working with something like Inori, having a team that I just did with AoE isn't necessary. It is a really big min-max way to clear very fast. But if you do want to rock an Inori team, just a very simple one, you primarily just want Shiki to make it a little bit faster, any type of sustain, and literally throw up any debuffers or buffers that you have in your arsenal, whether they're able to give crit rate, crit damage, regular defense down, regular what is it called, regular fragile, regular everything. As long as it is not element specific, Inori will love those type of characters. That's why we have characters like Saika, or maybe even characters like Sierra in the future, who is also going to have their crit rate, crit damage buff very soon from the tower, which is going to be really nice. We have Miko with being able to lower defense, which is really good. And with that being said, we have characters like Mia with fragile and defense. We have, I'm trying to see if I can name all the characters that are pretty good. This Aina, you can have her give overdrive plus also doing fragile plus defense down. There's a lot of really good substitutions that you can run in the event that you don't have these very specific characters. I think the only character that would hurt not to have, just because it does boost up quite a bit the damage that Inori is giving out, is of course Yingsha, because she's the only one that's going to be providing the hit count buff. But those two are going to be the teams that I'm using with Inori at the current moment. Like I said, you can switch out some of these characters for the lesser variants or characters that are very similar. It is just going to be a tiny bit annoying because some teams like the fire team, like the light team right now, are super geared towards specific element boosts, like how Tsukasa can give light damage buffs. Fire has Yotsuha. There's a lot of characters that are able to give specific buffs that aren't necessarily going to work on Inori, because Inori is going to be a more null type character in terms of element. But that is going to be it when it comes to Inori and how busted she is. Yeah, she's an absolutely nasty character. But other than that, thank you guys so much for watching on today's video. Make sure to sub, leave a like, comment, all that different type of stuff. See you on the next one, and peace.